Talmud Bavli, Tractate Beitzah, page 36. B. Top of the page with the words Ela Ema. Bilvad Shliasenu Mitsuda. But rather say the following, provided he does not make it a trap as he covers it. In other words, as long as he takes care not to cover all the openings. The Gemara questions this, but is it obvious that it is prohibited to directly trap bees on Shabbat? Why would the Beitzah mention it? The Gemara responds, it does inform us of something that is not obvious, lest you say an animal whose type is generally trapped and hunted by people for some purpose is prohibited to be trapped on Shabbat, whereas an animal whose type is not generally trapped, such as a bee, is permitted to be trapped even ab initio, as this is not considered to be the normal manner of hunting. The Beitzah therefore teaches us that one may not, in fact, trap bees. Rav Ashi said in a different elucidation, it is taught in the Beitzah in the summer and in the rainy season? No, it is taught in the sun due to the sun and in the rain due to the rain. The Beitzah speaks not of the summer and the rainy season, but of the spring days of Nisan and the autumn days of Tishrei, when there is sometimes sun and there is sometimes rain, and when there is also honey in the hive. It is possible then that the Beitzah permits covering the hive during the seasons because of the honey that is in it, as initially proposed. It was taught in the Mishnah, and one may place a vessel beneath a leak in order to catch the water on Shabbat. A sage taught in the Beitzah, if the vessel became full with the leaking water, he may pour out its contents, place the vessel back under the leak, and repeat the entire process if necessary, if he need not refrain from doing so. The Gemara relates, Abaya's millhouse once developed a leak on Shabbat. Abaya was concerned about the potential damage to the millstones, which were made partly of clay and which would become ruined from the leaking water, and he did not have enough buckets to catch the water without emptying and refilling them. But the water was unfit for drinking, and was therefore muktzah, and could not be removed. Abaya came before Rabbah to ask him how to proceed. Rabbah said to him, go bring your bed into the millhouse, so that the dirty water will be considered like a container of excrement, which despite being muktzah may be removed from one's presence due to its repulsive nature. And then remove the water. Abaye sat and examined the matter and posed a difficulty. And may one initiate a situation of a container of excrement? In other words, may one intentionally place any repulsive matter into a situation which will bother him and then will then have to be removed ab initio? In the meantime, as he was deliberating the issue, Abaya's millhouse collapsed. He said, I had this coming to me for having gone against the words of my master Rabbah by not following his ruling unquestioningly. Shmuel said, with regard to a container of excrement and a container of urine, it is permitted to remove them on Shabbat to a garbage heap. To a garbage heap. And when he returns the container to the house, he must place water in it first and then return it, for it is prohibited to carry these containers alone, as their foul odor makes them muktzah due to their repulsive nature. Some sages at first understood from the wording of Shmuel's statement that with regard to removing of a container of excrement on account of the vessel, In other words, along with its vessel, yes, this is permitted, but to remove the excrement by itself, without a vessel containing it, no. This is prohibited. The Gemara counters this conclusion with the following story. With the following story. Coming to hear that a certain dead mouse was discovered in Rav Ashi's storeroom for spices. In the realms of spices. Coming here that a certain dead mouse was discovered in Rav Ashi's storeroom for spices. Isparmiki. Rav Ashi said to them, take hold of it by its tail and remove it. This shows that repulsive matter may, indeed, in fact, be removed even directly. And that's the end of that. New Mishnah. Any act for which one is liable due to rabbinic decree may be made to enhance the character of Shabbat as a day of rest, or if it is notable because it is optional. In other words, it involves an aspect of a mitzvah, but is not a complete mitzvah. Or if it is noticeable because it is a full-fledged mitzvah, if it is prohibited on Shabbat, one is liable for it on a festival as well. And these are the acts prohibited by the sages as Shavut. One may not climb a tree on Shabbat, nor ride on an animal, nor swim in the water, nor clap his hands together, nor clap his hands on the thigh, nor dance. Clap. So steht, Says beferish in the Gemara. So why do Hasidim clap? Steht beferish in the Gemara, you're not allowed to clap. Hey, mispakin. Nor dance. And the following are acts that are permitted on Shabbat are notable because they're optional, which involve an aspect of a mitzvah but are not complete mitzvot. One may not judge, nor betroth a woman, nor perform a halitza, which is done in lieu of levirate marriage, nor perform levirate marriage. And the following are prohibited on Shabbat despite the fact that they are notable because of full-fledged mitzvah involved in them. One may not consecrate nor take vow, nor consecrate objects for use by the priests or the temple, nor separate truma and tithes from produce. The sages spoke of all these acts being prohibited, even with regard to a festival, all the more so they are prohibited on Shabbat. The general principle is there is no difference between a festival and Shabbat, except for work involving preparation of food alone, which is permitted on a festival but prohibited on Shabbat. Gemara, the Talmud says, the Gemara clarifies the reasons for each of these halachot. One may not climb a tree. This is a decree that one may not climb a tree. That was made lest one detach branches or leaves as he climbs, thereby transgressing the prohibited labor of reaping. Nor ride an animal. This is a decree that was made lest one go beyond the Shabbat limit. Please excuse the noise. They are working next door. Back in the Michigan, let's say, nor ride an animal. This is a decree that was made lest one go beyond the Shabbat limit on the animal. The Gemara asks, can one learn from here as a prohibition against venturing beyond the Shabbat limits, which applies to festivals, is by Torah law? If the prohibition with regard to Shabbat limit were rabbinic, the sages would not have reinforced it with the additional decree of riding an animal. It is known that this is a matter of dispute. In the light of this explanation of the Mishnah, it would be a proof that Shabbat boundaries are of Torah origin. Rather, give a different reason for the prohibition. It is a decree that was made lest one cut off a branch to use as a riding switch and thereby perform the labor of reaping, which is prohibited by Torah law. Nor swim in the water. This is a decree that was made lest one make a swimmer's barrel. A swimmer's barrel? An improvised flotation device To teach beginners how to swim? That's why you can't swim? Too far-fetched, what do you think? Nor clap one's hands together, nor clap a hand on the thigh, nor dance. All these are prohibited to a degree that was made lest one fashion a musical instrument to accompany his clapping or dancing. That's a bit much. It was taught in the Mishnah, and the following are acts that are prohibited on Shabbat and are noticeable because they're optional. In other words, which involve an aspect of a mitzvah, but are not complete mitzvot. One may not judge. The Gemara asks, but doesn't one perform a full-fledged mitzvah by acting as a judge in a court? Why is it categorized as optional rather than a full-fledged mitzvah? The Gemara answers no. It is necessary for the mission to categorize it as optional, as it is speaking of a case where there is another person who is more qualified than he. Since the other person can judge even better, it is not considered an absolute mitzvah for the first one to judge. Nor betroth a woman. The Gemara asks, why is this categorized as optional, indicating that it is not a full-fledged mitzvah? But doesn't one perform a full-fledged mitzvah when he marries? This enables him to fulfill the mitzvah, to be fruitful and multiply. The Gemara answers, no. It is necessary for the mission to categorize this as optional. It is a black tie optional. If it happens to be a black tie optional wedding, that's it.